You know what I've like found really interesting is that it's so hard to find someone when they're young because you don't know what's gonna happen with all that time. It's like, you know, you got that 13-year-old kid that's like really good, you know what I mean? But you're like, what is gonna happen? You can't predict that. And I think if there's been any example of like seeing a kid and knowing that he's gonna be the one that makes it, like Sean would be that example.
But on that one Canada trip, it was funny because Smythe came back. We're like, you know, how was it? Like, how are the kids, you know? And he's like, Sean is like the perfect kid. He was making his bed in the hotel each morning. Perfectly made bed, like just sitting there ready to go, you know? I don't know if it's because he's the youngest of like 4 brothers, but he was always like really mature, you know? And then Sam was like, oh, his dad's in the military. And we're like, oh, okay.
My dad actually graduated from West Point, and he really wanted one of his 4 boys to follow in his footsteps. No one in my family had the grades to make it to West Point besides me. I was actually a straight A student all the way up to I stopped going to school sophomore year. Skateboarding got in the way. Got in the way of his dream.
So you're like a big disappointment?
At first, maybe he was kind of a little bummed out, but you know, it worked out and he's psyched that I'm doing something that I like.
Right when I started hanging out with Sean, it was like, I remember the argument was like, dude, move out of KC. Like, what are you still doing there? Like, move to Cali. And he was so against it. And I remember going like, what is so special about KC? And then we went and I was like, okay, I get it. You have like a rad group of kids, everybody skates.
I think there was a minute where he was like, should I move to LA? Like, he's talking to us, and then I think Mesa was just like, dude, stay in Kansas. Don't come here, like, just do you. You don't have to do all that stuff. And I think Sean was like relieved to hear that.
I think we're pretty supportive actually of him staying there. He's like responsible enough to do whatever you ask of him, and he has filmers out there, he skates out there, he comes out here frequently enough, and it's like, it hasn't hurt him at all. I think it's probably helped him, you know, if anything.
But that's the #1 question is like, when are you gonna move to LA? I get that so much.
Where he loves Kansas City, I didn't love Dayton. You know what I mean? It's like, that's the difference, you know what I mean? When I was 14, I was going to stay with Mike Hill, like telling my mom, like, I'm moving to California, I'm counting down the days. For someone to continue to live in Kansas City and be at the level that he's at is pretty remarkable.
I knocked my teeth out trying to nollie big spin into the fountain when I was little. That's why these 3 are fake. Having what I have here is almost impossible in LA, to have a park, a place, escapists right down the street, all within a few miles of each other. You know, you can't really find that anywhere else. It's just my friends and I, our skateboard. It's a little personal, wow, private park. Then we all pay $100 a month. In the winter time, it's all we got, so we just skate here every single day. I actually should make my bed. Yeah, I gotta fold that shit up. 5 minutes.
We're so late already.
Are we? We're going Ty Evans right now?
Yeah, P-Rod Ty Evans, man.
You didn't tell me it was Ty Evans. Brain fart.
P-Rod Ty Evans. Are you gonna roll with us, Patrick?
Yeah, I'm gonna drive separate though.
Okay.
One of the best experiences was watching Ty Evans and Sean Malto work together. I mean, for me personally, it was just like the best filmer with like one of the best skaters.
You know what's rad about Malto is that like if I ever have some stupid idea, he's usually pretty down to give it a go. When you want to try new stuff, it's cool to have someone that's like, yeah, all right, that sounds cool, let me try it for you, you know? It's like, I think every time I've hit him up and like thrown some crazy idea at him, he's like, all right, yeah, it sounds cool. It's never been like, maybe.
When Ty's making a film, he put everything in there, you know?
Yeah.
And Girl too, though. I mean, dude, Girl's known for making best videos, you know, put everything in there. But also though, dude, I did hear that like, before they like really started like buckling down on the video, Ty called Sean and was like, you know, you're gonna be my guy. Like, I want you to have last part and, you know, let's really kind of make this video focused on you.
I remember like, when we were trying to do the helicopter intro for the beginning of Pretty Sweet, and I went to that school and scouted it. I was like, all right, this will be perfect. And I'm like looking at that rail, and then I sent Malto a photo. And I was like, hey, do you think you could backside 50 this rail? And he's like, yeah, probably.
So Ty was like, hey, could you 50 the rail? And I was like, all right, like I think so. I've never been there, but whatever. Wrap up the video, like let's just do this. I got there at like 7 in the morning. It took him a good 2 or 3 hours to actually figure out the logistics of the helicopter and where everyone was gonna be. They're like, all right, let's try to do this first try. And I was like, cool. So the first try, the copter comes up, I get my cue to go, and I'm skating at the rail. I'm scared, it's the first time I'm trying it. And about 10 feet from the rail, I just hear people screaming, no, no, waving their arms. And they're like, the helicopter was so close that if I would have tried it, it would have hit me in the head.
And it's blades.
It's blades, so it would have,
Got your head cut off?
it would definitely be stitches in the head, let alone like if I ollied it hit me in the head, I don't know what would happen to my body going down that rail. So they had to pull back, restart, and then the third try happened. I like skated to the middle of the big group and I was like, please blow out these cannons. Please blow out these cannons.
After we did the intro with the remote heli and everything and that whole sequence got done, we cleaned up, everyone left, there's only a couple dudes there. And I look at the rail, I look at Malto, I was like, hey, do you want to try maybe overcook this? And he just looked at me so crazy, like, really?
And Ty is just like, you up on the roof, like you get over there, there's like 5 angles all around the rail, all set up, just like, all right, we're good whenever you are. I'm like, fuck. This, you know, I'm putting this pressure of the situation. It took me an hour and a half, 2 hours to do it, and I only tried it 6 times. Oh. Whoa, you okay? Yeah. And then, you know, I kind of figured it out, and I made one. I got so psyched that I started just pushing around the school, like, and then I started to feel really sick. My entire body locked up, and it was one of the most painful days in my life. I was stuck and I couldn't move, and if I could get one thing to move, like if I grabbed this and got it to loosen up, it like would trigger my whole other side of my body, just screaming in pain. I was like, it felt like my tendons were just gonna snap. And it was just so scary that they called an ambulance.
And so what was the diagnosis?
It was basically just dehydration and heat exhaustion.
It's crazy, and I see like in Sean skating too, it's like the stuff that he does, it's really scary. And he is scared. He puts himself on the line. But he's always so calm in every situation. And I feel like he's that full package that delivers that.
Yeah, you kind of can choose 2 paths. You can just be a guy who gets video parts and coverage, or you can be a guy who's on the podium and winning. And he tries to do both, and he does do both. He's won street leagues, which is very few people have done, and he's still very young for what he's accomplished.
At the end of the day, you respect someone's talent, how they ride a skateboard. He rides a skateboard like nobody else, like with that style, and that's that effortless and does that hard of tricks, you know, it's the beauty of modern skateboarding. He to me epitomizes the idea of there is no rules to how skateboarding should be.
Okay, who are you here to see today?
Sean Malto.
Who?
Sean Malto!
What if I could get Sean Malto to take you on a date tonight?
Oh my god! Oh my god, are you freaking kidding? Do not play with me like that! Do not fucking play with me like that!
Where would you go eat?
Taco Bell! Let me get a picture, oh my god!
Yeah.
Oh my god! I can't breathe! Can I get a picture with you?
Sure, yeah.
Oh my god, my legs are shaking!
Here, let's see the umbrella.
You gonna do a selfie? selfie?
Oh my god.
Do the selfie. This is the best selfie ever.